All right, good morning. Back again. Do some coding. And what are we doing today? What I've been doing recently has been kind of looking for bugs. A lot of stuff has changed pretty rapidly, relative to kind of the amount of effort that I'm putting into the project overall. It's kind of a side project. And one of the things I've been looking at, so we have our stream ingestion process on the back end that is responsible for taking stream recordings and doing all these different tasks on them, doing speech to text, transcription, doing various kinds of rendering. So for the front end to work, the thing that I think we've been kind of focused on recently, the data has to be there, right? And so I've been going back and forth between the back end and the front end and just kind of like making sure things are working right and the data is in the right place. So kind of troubleshooting some things here and trying to make this a little bit more efficient as well. So there's things that we could have done in parallel that I had previously not set up. So, for instance, the video ingestion process itself is something that could have been happening in parallel. And so this is something I'm experimenting with. And then there are things that, in the transcription process where we want to do it serially so that we can build up context from video to video for the transcription. So that's what's happening here. I guess this item could be up in here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There are, I think, a lot of opportunities for kind of tweaks and improvements. But mainly I'm waiting for this, and so there were two streams that I was testing with. So if we go over to the UI here, so here's basically the backlog of streams that I have the metadata about kind of the stream object about that have not yet been rendered out into episodes and put on YouTube. So I've accumulated quite a backlog at this point. And, well, I would like to be able to go to our new editor and have this work and be able to see the videos. We're still in the process of making that work, though. So, like, this doesn't work right now because, let's see, A83. Is this the one that's currently underway, or was that the other one? Let's find out. Input. No, this is 1F9. Was this one then? A83. Okay, so does that mean that if I go to, it's probably the second one then? That we have, no, this is 264. 1F9, huh? I guess I could just take the stream ID. Oh, we got to the next failure. Excellent. I think oh yeah. So one of the issues right now is that I think that the individual video records don't have the stream ID on them yet. So they're not findable. And that's what this step is. Let's see if that's true. So if I grab this stream ID, go over here and we go to that URL. That's not the right thing. Oh, right. Okay, so that's annoying. Right, one second. I need to redo things. Let's start our front end. I didn't start it this morning. And so when the... Oh, that's fine. When when I started up the streaming, my streaming setup, I have another Vite app that runs that start run dev. Interesting. So what's going on? I have this other window for my streaming overlay. Oh. And then with everything, don't shake the windows in Windows 10 is the lesson. Where did OBS go? Oh, great. Brilliant. Technical difficulties. One moment. Everything got minimized. Oh boy. All right. So interesting. How can they both be on 5173? That's what they claim though. If I reload this, we do have glowing telegram. Okay. But the play doesn't work. Yes? Okay. Right. So this is what I'm saying in terms of just like going through and troubleshooting and kind of working back and forth. And yeah, so we have our first thing to work on today, which is that this step failed to update stream ID and metadata. It does more than that. Okay, so what's the error? Set stream ID equals stream ID. Video clip count equals video clip count. Ingestion version equals ingestion version. Could not be used to start the test. The value for field in must be a string. Must be a string. Yeah. So, what we are doing is somewhere in this process. Here we go. So, update metadata. Here is this task. Also, this could be bigger. There you go. We don't need the sidebar. There we go. Okay. So this is the task that we see in the UI. Update stream ID and metadata. It actually does a bit more than that now. It grabs various pieces of information. What's interesting is this is information that we have essentially as soon as this whole process starts. So it doesn't need to be all the way down here at the end. This task could probably be moved up and done sooner. Yeah, I think so. But anyway, what's the issue? So, right. So this says number at, but this should actually be string at. Or should it? So tasks that dynamo attribute value dot from number, right? Sets a literal number. So from number takes a number and our JSON path. So the thing to keep in mind with all of this is like several layers of abstraction away from what's really going on. Like the whole purpose of this entire TypeScript file is to generate a template to create resources in AWS that then defines a thing that gets executed. So if we look at the actual step, this one right here, if only we could. Let's look at the definition. Okay, so if we look at wherever that step is. There we go. Update stream ID and metadata. So this is what this is the JSON that gets generated by our TypeScript code for the Cloud Development Kit. And so we are grabbing count, and we are passing that. So we're essentially building a query for DynamoDB, an API call, let's say, for DynamoDB. And in this API call, what we are doing is we are creating a parameter for that API call called video clip count. And the value for that parameter needs to be in the this kind of encoded format that Dynamo expects. So that's like one level. And then above or below that, depending on your perspective, the semantics of how the step function in AWS interprets all of this JSON is it says, if you have a key that ends with $or $, then it's going to remove the $, but the value is going to be evaluated at runtime in the context of the state of the step function. So it's going to read this $.count. $.count is coming from way up here where we get the count of video keys when we list how many video files there are in S3 under a certain prefix. So here we get count, and so that states that array length from this thing. So that's a number. And so in the transformation happening here, right here, this string gets replaced with a number. But the API call to DynamoDB expects that the property value for n is a string that represents a number. So how do we make it a string? Step function convert number to string. Okay. Intrinsic functions might be the thing I'm looking for. It's so bright. I wish the documentation. Aha. Awesome. It doesn't. So I discovered or rediscovered this morning that there is a setting in the AWS console to use the browser's visual mode, whatever that, the color scheme, light or dark, yes. But yeah, so apparently that doesn't work for the documentation, and that has to be separate. What is focus mode? Oh, fancy. Okay, can we intrinsic for string operation? Can we turn a number into a string? Okay, intrinsics for math operations. It's not a math operation, but it's a number, generic. States dot format. That looks promising. Let's try that. So how's this gonna work? Let's see. Can we? Ooh. Why? Why is this like this? Yeah. About Ooh, number from string. So that's an attribute of type number. But it takes a string. Okay, cool. But are you we've just moved the problem down a level, right? So I think what I'll do though is that my phone thinks that I was talking to it. It's interesting. Anyway, I don't know what I said that caused it to go off. But anyway, so this takes. So what I'm gonna do is that I'll just lie. I'll just say, hey, this thing, it's a string. It's not a string, but it doesn't matter. I mean, also, I think I could really, this would be equivalent to just doing this. Like, you can just do this. Now, their example shows calling sfn.json path, or so step functions, because I didn't alias it to sfn. But it's fine, because it's going to do the same thing. So what's better? I don't know, but this should fix the issue, right? So the issue is that the actual value in the step function state. Also, where's my music? Oh, we're just quiet, right? That was one of all my windows got minimized, right? So I was like, wait, there's nothing up there. Where did it go? But no, just minimized. Okay, so anyway, so the actual value in the step function state at count is a number. So we need to convert that actual value to an actual string value, so that when it makes its way through this and ends up being passed to DynamoDB, it works. Okay. The other thing is, so first of all, this is let's say update. What are we updating? The video metadata, really? And then I can do a handy thing here where I right click this and I say rename symbol, update video metadata. Sure. Now where this is being used right now is in this loop. So previously what I had was I just had one big loop and then everything happened in that loop. So that loop though is something that's not an intrinsic part of how AWS step functions work, but rather that loop, which you can see here, is just like, it's like a go-to. It's a very manual thing where you're like, I have a condition here, and then if my condition is satisfied, we step through these steps, and I go to here and increment, and it just goes back to the check, right? Versus this block right here, this is a map. And this is maybe easier to see if I go and edit this step function. I use their studio. So the cool thing with map is that allows you to do things in parallel, and it's just like a built-in thing. I really wish there was kind of like a I bet I could use map these days for doing what I'm doing down here. Just setting the number of parallel executions to 1. And then step functions now have variables I don't know a lot about. So I bet we could use that and make this maybe not simpler, right? Because we'd introduce a new thing, but it would be different. Something to check out at some point. But I want to not break this anymore. I want to actually fix this. So let's focus on that. So the map state though, what it does is it takes an array of values and it can do whatever's in this box. So in this case, just this submit job in parallel for all of the records in the array, for all of the items in the array, or for up to max concurrency items. I think that's set to 10 right now. Right there, concurrency limit 10. So what I'd like to do is I already cut it out of there. We're going to move it up to here inside of item processor. We're going to say, hey, now go and update the video metadata. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this into where I'm using it. I mean, it's nice to have it in a variable because then you can have a really compact, like here's the flowchart. The issue is that then it's very difficult to see, like this stuff relies on kind of where it's happening. So I would much rather, do this. There we go. So now we're referring to key. Key is the item that we're mapping over, right? And so we are taking that key, which is what we want to use to find the record in DynamoDB and update it. Now stream ID. Do we need stream record anymore? I think this is from before I changed things. So let's change this. There we go. Stream ID is something that we need to refer to, and count. Okay, do we need context? I don't think we need context anymore. That and stream record were things where we were doing some conditional stuff inside of this map operation. So I think we can remove that kind of from the state that is visible inside of the item processor. Okay. So what does this look like? Well, let's take a look. So can go ahead and CDK deploy. And this just looks through. I have 3 stacks right now. I have one for my front end that's like the static hosting and cloud front and all that stuff. And then a repo stack that's for the Elastic Container Repository repos where all the built like Lambda function and batch job Docker images are stored. And then the app stack is then everything else. So this should basically say, hey, I need to update the step function because its definition has changed according to the template. And yeah, I'll just take a minute. And then there are other things I could do instead of deploying this to see kind of what the difference is. Let me refresh. So if I refresh in the studio, there we go. Okay, so I can see the change. Like I said, there are other ways of looking at this. I could, for instance, do a CDK synth operation to kind of synthesize the template, and then look at the template and look at the JSON, or it's probably JSON, definition of the step function, and then there are tools to visualize that. Yeah, I guess I could always go back to what I was playing around with when we first started on this journey of migrating Glowing Telegram to AWS, of looking at local stack and kind of pushing things there. But this is fine. This is fine for what I'm doing. So there we go. So we moved update video metadata to inside of this ingestion map state. One of the things I did here, more broadly, there's this choice state here. What I said is basically that for the stream record, we're gonna store a version number on the stream. It's kind of like what version of this process was run on this stream. And then I've put a constant in the code that you can see I'm referring to here, ingestion version. That's just starting out at v100. It could just be like 1. I don't know. It is whatever. But the point is if the current logic is just if the version in the stream record doesn't match this, then this process gets run. So the assumption is that if we make significant changes to the ingestion process, we want this process to run again. I guess the question is really, oh, right. Now it occurs to me why this maybe shouldn't be here. So the reason interesting. So let's take a step back. So this ingest video job is not only run from here, it's also run when I upload videos in the first place to S3. It automatically runs. So the question is this how I want this to work? I think maybe the answer is no, because a few different reasons. Is that, hey, Chandu, yeah, it is an automated workflow thing. It is not just a diagram. So this is actually the process that runs. So part of what I'm doing right now is troubleshooting a failure in the step function. So I assume if you're asking that question, you may not be familiar with this service from AWS. It's Step Functions. It allows you to define a state machine that then can run various AWS services. You can run a Lambda function or what have you, and then conditionally do different things, right? So it is a workflow engine, essentially. And so you can use their studio or define JSON that defines essentially the workflow diagram, which then is executable. So I think I need to change this in a couple of ways, because this condition doesn't make sense here. I think this condition has to happen inside of the map state. We have to say for each video, has this video already been ingested with the current version of the ingestion process? And then this update video metadata, I think, needs to happen outside of this process. Ooh, actually, no, this can still happen inside the map state. It just needs to always run. Like if we move the condition, not check stream was ingested with the correct version, but check if video was ingested with the correct version inside of the map. And what we can say is if it wasn't, go ahead and ingest video, and then in either case, then update the video metadata. That would be good. I think that is necessary to change, and it is like that will be enough for now. I think there's still some opportunities to rearrange some of this stuff, but I don't want to mess with that yet because I think that's mostly fine. Okay, so right, let's make changes. That's not what I was looking for. Here we go. Okay, so here is where this is the map, right? So ingest all videos. That corresponds to this block right here. And so I have a condition, a choice. Check stream was ingested with correct version. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this choice, take that out, and then we're going to change it so that the flow will always call ingest all videos. And then this starts the kind of the other loop below it, right? This loop. So like this skip ingestion thing goes away and this condition will move in here. And inside of ingest all videos, inside of our item processor, I'm going to add this choice. So when you create a choice, first of all, check if video was ingested with the correct version. So you want to do DynamoDB. That's kind of the convention I'm using as I'm storing the results of our DynamoDB record call under that path. So what we're doing here is we're saying two conditions have to be met. Oh, yeah, thanks. So a new feature in GitHub Copilot is that you can enable this thing. So can I even see that here? Extensions. Too many extensions. Preview. Experimental. No, maybe it's under here. Where was it? Bug, review selection, review. Ah, here we go. Next edit suggestions. So that's what's happening there, is that as you're typing, when you finish typing something or you accept something changes, then it will attempt to predict what the next thing you need to change is. So in this case, I changed this from stream to video, and I was like, hey, do you want to change this too? This is pretty cool. Okay, so if... Okay, to do get record. We need to actually get the record from DynamoDB because we don't have that yet at this point. We have the key of the record, so we'll need to go get it so that we can do this choice. So this condition is, hey, does this JSON path even exist? We need this because if we only do string equals and the JSON path doesn't exist, it will cause the step function to fail. So you have to check both, assuming you actually care what the value is. So if it's present and the value matches our kind of constant value, then we don't need to ingest it anymore. Then we can just say otherwise. Otherwise, we do the batch submit job, like so. And then we have too many. Otherwise, there and that. And then, oh yes, so we're still kind of in this thing where we need to say afterwards so that we can chain additional things. So once anything happens here, right? Either we do this pass or we do batch submit job. Once either of those things happen, it hooks back into whatever's chained next. Yeah. All right, so, and then we update the record regardless. Okay, so let's get the record. So we want to do a new task DynamoDB or Dynamo get item, get video metadata. Yeah. And we want to get the ingestion version. That's all we really care about here. And then next, we do this choice. So then we wrap that like that, and then there we go. So afterwards, essentially returns this chain that contains all the, like, this is just saying what I said, probably in a better way. Afterwards returns a chain that contains all the reachable end states from this choice. So then what we can say is, we can say, okay, do this task, this task, then do this task, and then chain on, and then do this, and then that's kind of what this part of the state machine will do. So we map over at most 10 videos. This is fine. The bulk of what this is doing is calling this AWS batch job. It's submitting a job. There is a queue that we are submitting to. Let's see here. Job queue arn for the CPU batch job queue. And that has a maximum amount of compute resources available to it. So we could set this number as high as I want, really. I could just remove it. I think it's fine, because this is going to be controlled, like the how much work is being done will be controlled by the job queue. That'll constrain like how much stuff we spin up to do the work of the ingest video process, which for those that aren't familiar with that, just video. Oh, it's video ingester, isn't it? Because why would things be named consistently? It's a struggle, right? So this is where we're doing audio extraction to get the audio from the video file. We're doing keyframe extraction. I think we'll be able to use this. We're not actually using this yet, so this gets like images, static images from through the video, just kind of like for the UI to kind of show preview. Do metadata tasks, so this pulls like all of the video metadata, so like how long it is, resolution, audio tracks, video tracks, all that. Silence detection, which then figures out, hey, where am I talking or not in the video? And then transcode, which is what generates a HLS and MPEG TS output, like a low-res preview of the stream, so that the video editor can just play the video without having to load 1440p, like load gigabytes of video to show it in a web browser. All right, so that's the stuff we're doing behind the scenes. And what's really nice about this now is this should mean that once we test this process and it runs through here, let me just go ahead and deploy it. Oops. One task, CDK deploy. Assuming I haven't messed anything up, this deploy will work. But what this will mean for us is that as I'm testing this, if there are any other issues, it's going to be incrementally marking each video as being processed with this ingestion process. Which means that if I have to run this again, we won't keep reprocessing the same videos over and over again, which is nice. And it's been a thing that has been slowing this process down a little bit. Oh, and we're done. All right, so if I refresh the studio here, here's the new version. So we ingest all videos, and then we're getting the item from Dynamo. We are checking to see if it was ingested with the correct version. If it was, we could be clever here, I think, with the the choice. I think we can label. Can we label the choice? Conditions, next, and then options. What are our comment? There we go. Can we do something with otherwise? No. So I think, here we go. So if I do this, yeah, that's what shows up in the diagram. Okay, cool. All right, so that'll be nice. So we'll actually have something a little bit easier to understand in the diagram when we're looking at this. All right, so if it's the correct version, we skip ingestion. Otherwise, we ingest the video, and then we update the video metadata, and then this other stuff happens, which hopefully is all fine. Yeah. So if I go back to here, I can rerun. I can run the new version of the step function with the previous input because it remembers what the step function was had as an input. Right, so this is the stream ID for our stream record, and then some prompt stuff that was sent from the front end. So if I run this, then we can see this happening. See it live, which very quickly becomes kind of hard to understand exactly what's going on because there's a bunch of stuff happening in parallel. If we look at the table view, then we can see like here's a bunch of parallel activities happening. Unfortunately, this will take a little while to run, so we may just move on to other tasks. Yeah, let's do that. But so far so good, right? So we submitted, and in fact, I expect that if I were to open up all these are all running ingest because none of the previous runs had the thing in place. That was the last thing that failed, right? Was the update to DynamoDB, but that was when we were trying to update the oh no, that's right. Okay, yeah, update video metadata. That's so funny, right? Because this is unchanged. This is what we were trying to do before. So the previous code was a little confused. I think I was kind of in the middle of figuring out whether I was trying to put the information at the stream level or at the individual video record level. But I think that's all sorted out now. So let's move on to other things. I guess let me create an item to represent kind of the work and play here. So more fixes for stream ingestion process. Well, we'll turn that into an issue so that when we create the PR, we'll have an issue to link to. Great. So the other thing that I noticed the other day is kind of a bug. So if I go into the front end, yes, we can actually look at the app some more. So if I'm on streams. So if I look at this stream, let's say, we can see, we don't have the video working right now, but we can see all the data that we've gathered about the stream. It would be cool. It would be cool if when I move the mouse over, I could see the timestamp along the timeline. Let's add that as a thing to do. Show timestamp when hovering, when moving mouse over timeline. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, that aside, so the feature that we implemented, or we started to move towards, I guess, because I think this specific thing was implemented between streams because I had some time to do it. So I have a button called Clip Silences. And this is actually probably a bad example, but we'll look at this first. So what this does is that we have these kind of dark gray sections on the timeline that represent silent segment or silence segment or whatever. I guess this could just be silence. I don't know why it says segment. Anyway, and the idea is this finds the gaps between the silences. If you will, that's like how I explain it in the code. But basically it says, okay, there's nothing, there's this block of silence. And then there's this space in between, and there's another silence. So what is the timestamp between here and here, the start and end, right? And it adds that to my clip selection, right? Previously, what we had done, I think if I control click, here, hold on, clear. Is it control or is it shift? Oh, it's shift. If I shift click a segment, that adds that as a clip here. But what I really wanted to do to kind of parallel the previous version of this UI, so in other words, this is still actually available, right? So if we go to timeline, this is the old timeline that automatically generates segments based on silences, but it doesn't have any other information. So it was just kind of like a V1 of what I wanted here. But if we go back, I don't have a button to go between them. And I go to editor. I basically want a way to select those sections as clips because that's how I'm kind of doing the VOD videos that I'm putting on YouTube. Although it's been like a month and a half since I've done that because I've been waiting for this tool to be able to do that. And so this is a bad example of what I want to show because what this does is something understandable that's also not right, but I don't think I'm going to spend time to fix right now, right? So actually, no, this is a good example. It is and it isn't. So you look at this and you're like, okay, here's a block. Here's like, I start talking and we do like an hour and then I take a break. And then I start talking and I do an hour and I take a break. And then I start talking, I go for an hour, and that's the end of the stream, right? So you would think, oh, okay, well, there's 3 clips. That's fine, right? So without the ability to see how long the video is, because that's also missing, this 162 minutes is not the end of the video. It's actually just to right here, where this little block of silence was. I must have been thinking for extra long and not saying anything for, 30 seconds or something. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. And we don't have the video preview right now to see, so coming soon. But if this third clip is from here to here, what about the stuff from here to here, right? Well, that's the bug. And I think there might be a similar one if for some reason I never do this, right? But if for some reason I went live and I immediately launched into things, and then we took a quick break for ads to run, then I don't know if this would add a section for right there. Jake, hello. Renewing that sub.
Jake_jar- just subscribed for 12 months.
A whole year. Thank you for the resub. How has your morning been going? I want to say thanks for all those nice things you said. I think in the last couple of streams, you just got out of bed. Well, good morning. I think both of the last times, I'm sure actually, probably every time I've rated you, you've always said such nice things about me. But the compliment about my voice is very nice of you to say. So thank you. Again, I'm pretty sure it said thanks in chat, but no. Now the shoe is on the other foot, and I can talk to you, and you're in chat. All right. Well, anyway, so let's see if we can fix this. So I have a little TypeScript thing called, I think it's called find gaps. Yes. So we have find gaps.ts. So this finds the gaps between video sections that are greater than or equal to the specified minimum gap duration, right? So if this number, min gap duration, was greater than this little pause in speaking, then it would have been skipped. I think what that would mean, though, what would that mean for us? Let me go find where this function is called. I'm gonna test that hypothesis. Here we go. So one thing is, hey, can we do a refactor? Extract a constant in modules. Extract a constant in module scope. There we go. All right, so we're gonna call this silence clip threshold. Yeah. All right, now we have a constant to refer to this, and this is I think this is in milliseconds. Yes. So right now, this looks for silences that are greater than a second. I think we should do like 15 seconds. If I do this, and I refresh the front end, and then I run my, if I do clip silences, oh, it still does that, huh? Okay, so that silence there was more than 15 seconds, I think. So let's do 30. Oh, also, this is a thing that one can do in JavaScript and TypeScript. Ta-da! You can use an underscore to represent the idea of kind of like number grouping. So you can't do commas, but you can do an underscore. So if I don't think I actually need to refresh because this is using Vite. So we should have hot code reload. But if we do clip silences now, interesting. What if I go bigger? Let's test this. Clip silences. Okay, let's refresh. Oh, this is in the video editor. Right. So, the downside of having this front end component, like this front end's app, in multiple repositories, and doing this thing where like, hey, the video editor is actually a separate like npm package, a separate component that lives on its own, is that, you know, like I have this published to npm, right? So I have the front end actually pulling it from npm, but what I want to actually do is I want to, what do I want to do? I want to go over to Glowing Telegram Video Editor. I want to do npm link. And then we're going to go and open another terminal. And Glowing Telegram front end. And I probably have this in my history already. Link. There we go. So this will make it so that instead of using the package and node modules, this will use it'll just point to the other directory. And then the other thing we need to do is I need to, in video editor, do npm run dev. So this will do vite build watch. So whenever I make changes in the video editor, it will trigger a build, which will provide the JavaScript and CSS for the front end to be able to see. So this is why, as I've been changing things, nothing has been happening. So I wonder, okay, let me refresh. I think potentially this change, where it's like in a separate package, Vite might not pick up on. So I might have to do R refresh. If I do this, interesting. Okay, let's go really big. Let's go let's go like, was that 5 minutes? So if I clear and I do clip silences, okay, let me refresh. I'm gonna have to start thinking that maybe my hypothesis is wrong if this continues to not work. 162. Okay, so I can see where the playhead is even without the video. So that's like 178. So how long is this silence? We are using clip silence clip threshold, right? Define gaps. Minimum duration of a gap to be considered, right? So if I make this big enough, then it just won't ever find any gaps. Hold on, let's just make it a really big number. Let's double check that our dev script. Yeah, we are rebuilding. Okay. So if I clear and clip, okay, let me refresh. Oh, maybe I should open the dev tools. Is this like a caching thing? Right, because those things are not being bundled, right? They're being pulled separately, so maybe that's a caching issue. So if we do this, what is going on? It's so weird. I'm very confused. And it's a bot. My bot. Okay, so let's figure this out. So yeah, so clip silences, it just calls, find gaps on the silences with that threshold. And then it sets selected clips to the return of that. And this should be fine. I mean, this is no different from moving this up and setting it in a variable and awaiting, and then awaiting the promise, and then calling set selected clips with the resolved value. Those should be equivalent. Appearance is not withstanding. So if we go to find gaps, here we go, and let's add a console.log. We'll save gaps and threshold and gap duration. So at that point, yeah, it does a rebuild. If I go to the console and I clear and I click OK, so we don't see it immediately. We know it has to be called, right? Because we're seeing it working. It's running. So something's happening. If I do this, but no log. Let me restart the front end. Okay. So maybe that was just the issue, was that I needed to restart Vite. Oh yeah, and yeah, okay. Yeah. So that we don't have a video, so that error is normal, and we should have been seeing that. Okay, cool. So then if I click clip silences, it doesn't find anything because of the threshold. This is actually the perfect example of this bug, because if there were no detected silences, then the thing that it should have selected was the entire video, but instead it returned nothing. So I accidentally stumbled into exactly how we can demonstrate the issue that I think is the thing that I want to solve. So we're going to add a test case. We have a bunch of them, just not the right one up until now. It should handle hindsight. It should return the entire if there are no sections longer than the, what do we call it? Min gap duration? Minimum gap duration. Yeah, there you go. So, sections, so this is wrong. Stop it. So, we have this, and this should be more like this. 1,000. And interesting. Okay, well, we're taking a break here, apparently, so I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll continue working on this test case. So